afternoon, everybody. This is Francesco Abbruzzino, and I'm bringing you the Francesco Abbruzzino live news and talk show. A lot of things, a lot of stuff happening locally today to discuss, and then we have the a couple interviews I did. I'm behind on road rants that I've done that I usually will put out, and then we got a ton of international news happening and breaking all over the place. So a lot of stuff happening out there. Let's take care of house cleaning first. This is a truly one-man show. I do all the hosting, the researching, the running of the show, the running of the website, the scheduling the interviews, and all that stuff. So bear with me if I seem distracted grabbing things. The other thing is I haven't made a dime, but I'm told I need to start making a dime because of a possible radio deal that I'm working. So sponsorships, if you want some advertising and sponsor the program, thefrancescoabbruzzino.com, which you are probably on right now if you're watching it, unless you're watching it through Facebook. On there, you'll find the advertising rates, and then you'll also find the store, which offers apparel and a variety of stuff like longevity. And that's it. The phone line is down until I can figure out a way to handle multiple phones. We're not going to bring it back up. I had too many issues. So let's go ahead and get started with your local news first. And I think I should have the story pulled up. Just so you guys know, we do a split screen. You're going to see me walking between a Word document and the internet sometimes. I'm getting a newer computer where I can keep everything up and it'll be a smoother transition. But until then, this is the way we got to do it. And let's see. Okay. First of all, the deputies, they said, beware of distractions, burglary scream. And what they're doing is, in an effort to prevent this distraction burglary, the county sheriff is reminding residents about the scheme and that some criminals are using, primarily in Pinellas, but I think it's been seen here in Sarasota. In most distraction burglaries, one suspect approaches a house and asks the homeowner for permission to let inside or in the backyard that's weird how they said it. It says homeowners for permission to let inside or in the backyard. Who would let someone in their house? First question I have to ask. Or in my backyard if I didn't know who they were. The suspect, who may identify themselves as a county or utility worker, perhaps that's why, could claim that they needed to inspect your water leak, check your property lines, or show the residents necessary repairs according to the sheriff's office. While the resident obliges them, a second suspect comes inside the house and steals all your jewelry and cash. And they just said, hey, look, just remember, if they're unannounced, ask for an ID. If they're claiming to be a county worker, don't just trust them and let them in the house so that someone could just come into your back door and rob you. Bayfront, they had their meeting again today to discuss, or yesterday actually, I should say, to discuss some of the Bayfront 2020 plan that they want to institute there. There has been some rumors out there that that they're going to that a company may be interested in coming in for a commercial venture. Some of the commissioners yesterday wanted to hold out for that. Basically, they said that the efforts of the Bayfront development enthusiasts are slowly but surely attracting attention to City Hall. On Monday, the City Commission directed its staff to study how the city can get involved in the project that's being developed. If you recall, about 2 weeks ago, they went to the county, and county said, hey, look, what are you doing here? You didn't even bring the city. There's no city rep here. You guys haven't even really talked to them. We do have Paul, who's a city commissioner, running for a county commissioner. He'll be on the show tomorrow in an interview, and I'll ask him about the Bayfront 2020. They are interested in the area around what used to be the Quay. It's one of the most valuable pieces of land out there, and because of the Great Recession, it's been hit pretty hard. Bayfront 2020 claims to support they claim to have the support of the regional nonprofits and neighborhood groups in North Trail and Rosemary District to move forward with their vision of what they want to do there. And the City Commission seemed to give some buy-in yesterday. They've been reluctant to get involved with these efforts. Much of the waterfront property is held by private entities and other governments, which is an issue. The Vice Mayor, Susan Chapman, said that the city plans for sweeping redevelopment of the Bayfront area, and so far it's not been implemented. She said that we already have a cultural district master plan, that they spent $100,000 on the master plan. Yep, those are those lovely consultant fees that everybody knows I'm just a huge admirer of. Not $100,000 to come up with a development plan. That's how much of your tax money the city commission spent to come up with a plan for that piece of property. Why the heck would they do this, guys? You know, I tried once to get consulting fees from the city of Venice, and I got, basically they said, well, we can't do it. We don't know where to turn. What do you consider consulting? And I couldn't really get anything. And these governments just love to waste our money on consultants that'll do nothing or give you the same analysis as your city workers, as in the case with the two garbage pickups here in Venice City. And Bob Daniels pushed and pushed for a consultant because he didn't want to go with the city's recommendations. In this issue, Commissioner Shannon Snyder, he's also running for county commissioner, Republican. Him and Paul will have a runoff on the 26th of August. He said that he was wary of getting involved in the visioning activities such as this one because he's hearing, or he's thinking, that there's some serious buyers out there with the capital to make the redevelopment happen. Some people are saying that's just a rumor mill and that piece of information should have never got out. In other stuff, they heard from the Sarasota police officials that their homeless outreach efforts have helped 5 veterans find housing. And we're going to touch on homeless in a little bit. So they're moving forward with the homeless outreach program. You got this guy Barfield, who's the spokesperson with the ACLU. They call him the jailhouse attorney. He doesn't have an attorney license. He spent some time in jail for some crimes, and he's the spokesperson for the ACLU, which, you know, that's another question to bring up to Paul, is why is he so cozy with him, and why is Barbetta also so cozy with this guy who's basically been strong-arming the city on the homeless issue. If you look at a homeless person the wrong way, this Barfield guy's in there wanting to file a suit against the city. And a bunch of these guys are thugs that he's represented in the city that are chronic homeless. They're not the families out there that you want to help or the veterans that are down on their luck. These are the chronic drug dealers and criminals out there that he's out there helping a lot of them on. Since hiring the mental health counselor and redoubling efforts to help homeless veterans, the Sarasota Police Department outreach officers have ID'd the 5 people that they've helped. The group has contacted at least 132 people on the homeless issue. City commissioners are still struggling to develop a strategy to reduce the homelessness issue, which we'll cover in a second. Your Salvation Army commander, Major Ethan Frizzle, told the commission of his plans to open up more bed space to help in the transition. They voted to deny some Rosemary District property owners' request to be included in the proposed density increase. The property owners had asked for the city to expand the area allotted for higher development density under preliminary approval by the commission. And the majority of the commissioners said that the density increase was meant to aid development of an apartment complex and expand. It could promote land speculation. City Commissioner Paul Caragiulo, who will be on here tomorrow, and Suzanne Atwell voted for the property owner's request. And next we have, this is the video. This is from WWSB. I did have a clip from WTSP to put up here. I decided to go with the hometown boys, WWSB.
Whether you go meatless every day or every now and then, Morningstar Farms has 12 burgers to pick from. Black bean, chickpea, quinoa, and each one's a good source of protein.
So I thought, well, let's
Deciding which to grill up,
if I missed
that's
anything,
the
I
tough
think
part.
I did a thorough job of basically covering it, but let's see.
An area that includes dozens of acres of waterfront land near downtown Sarasota is up for discussion. The group Visit Sarasota County is working with the city to develop plans, and as ABC7's Ray Collins tells us, there may already be some serious interest, right?
Well, yeah, the city agreed tonight to discuss the land in question on the waterfront, but we're also hearing of another plan that's already taking shape. There's a narrow strip of land west of 41 from Fruitville to 10th Street that is suddenly getting a lot of attention.
There's not very often in Florida that you find, up to 75 acres of waterfront land.
That's one of the most significant properties in the entire state of Florida right now, and important to the future legacy of our community.
Officials from Visit Sarasota County look at all this cement and envision opportunity.
That vast parking lot by Van Wezel, who will be the buyers of the quay, what are the opportunities, and how will that tie into the surrounding neighborhoods and the North Trail redevelopment?
But hold on, says Commissioner Susan Chapman. She has her own questions.
Are you going to build a parking garage that includes the view of the bay? If so, I'm not in favor of that. Are you going to take away the municipal auditorium, which is a historical building? Are you going to take away lawn bowling? Are you going to take away the Chidsey building? Are you going to take away the garden club?
Meantime, Chapman says somebody literally put blueprints under her doormat revealing major plans for this land, from hotels to an aquarium.
This private group has a $255 million alternative plan for the city's own bayfront.
Commissioners, is that your vote? Yes. The vote is carried.
Monday night, city commissioners voted formally to work closer with Visit Sarasota County about the land. When we asked the mayor if this was a giant step or a baby step, he had this to say.
It's a giant step for a baby.
So for now, nothing official.
Yeah, so they did elaborate some on the issue. This is back to that Longboat Key sea turtle quagmire, and what are they going to do there? It's starting to get a lot of press. You can see the tracks there of the chair with the turtle's little flippers flipping his way back to the beach with the chair apparently attached to him. Longboat Key Watch recently posted this on their Facebook page, demonstrating the dangers that are involved there. They really haven't gotten any traction on getting anything done with the city. The city is pretty much holding to their stance that we're in compliance with the Florida state law, about which only touches on lighting and does not touch on leaving furniture left over on the beach and having to clean it up. But as I've said on previous shows, that's probably the moral thing to do, the ethical thing, to get it out there and clean it up. It's only going to bring in more tourists, and it's going to help protect the endangered turtle. Okay, the Bass Pro Shop. A lot of news, a lot of people out there talking about this on Facebook and in the news. I had a ton of shares on that on the Sarasota Scoop page. Apparently, a lot of interest in it. I'm not sure. I've never been to one, so I don't know what the big interest is in it. It's been long rumored. They're going to open it up. Bass Pro Shops confirmed this on Monday. The plans for the new store at the proposed Fruitville Commons development. It will be the company's first Suncoast location. It's an 80,000 square foot Pro Shops Outpost store. Will anchor the store development. Again, that's located on Fruitville, just east of 75, and it's slated to open in 2016. It will bring some employment of 200 additional jobs in the area, which is always great. Sarasota, they're bringing out the roundabout and the plans on Tuesday. We put our roundabout up here in Venice, on Venice and Jacaranda. I drive it once a week. It's horrible in my mind. I'm not a huge fan of it. A lot of crashes. I don't know if it's the older population, but a lot of people just don't get it and they don't understand the whole concept. But what they're saying is that they'll learn more about the traffic roundabout project planned on 41 in downtown Sarasota. So this is going to be on 41 in downtown Sarasota. I think I know where it's going to be at, and to me, it's going to be a mess, folks. The state transportation workers host a public meeting for the project. 2 roundabouts will be added on 41 at 10th to 14th Street. The project also includes islands, improved pedestrian walkways, biking areas, and landscaping. They are having a public forum that will be held today at the Van Wezel. There's no formal presentation. It runs right now from 5 till 7. So we'll have more information on that tomorrow on the roundabout. And there's actually, with that roundabout, there's actually a guy, and I tried searching to find his name, and I couldn't find it, but it's the same character that was pushing roundabouts in Bradenton, Sarasota, and he was down here aggressively lobbying to put a roundabout in Venice. And not just this roundabout on 41 Jacaranda, he was trying to get them to put one at 41 in Venice Avenue, which would have been a mess, especially because there's such a short distance from there to the main Venice Island Bridge. And we all fought it. A lot of people wrote the council and said, this is ridiculous. We're not for this at all. The council did the right thing, I think the right thing, and said, no, we're not going to do it. I pat myself on the back because I think my page had a lot to do with getting that word out there and communicating it. This is on the market and the influx of real estate agents, and what they're saying is that there's more agents now, so they're selling more, and they're not working 2 jobs, so the market's becoming better. This guy, Thomas Arbuckle, has been so busy that he sold his landscape business to focus solely on selling real estate. He says that the influx stands in stark contrast to the exodus of agents back there in the rough days a few years ago when we had the housing bubble. Agents bailed out of Florida, real estate in mass after the market crashed in 2008, unable to handle the commission-only income and sometimes heady marketing expenses. So what they're basically, the whole gist of this article was that the market seems to be turning around. I don't know if I'm buying into that. Maybe there's less real estate salespeople out there, and so they're getting more sales. I don't know what this true story is. I think on here, though, they said there's more agents, and they broke it down. They're like, there used to be X amount of existing and new, and it's changed, and they put up into all this information, but that was based upon membership with the board of realtors there. Siesta. This is Siesta Key, and this is they're getting a new bus route, primarily due to that overcrowding. Siesta Key visitors who don't want to navigate the crowded roads and parking lots will have this other option. And starting on Saturday, when a bus route begins running from Westfield Southgate Mall to Turtle Beach, the Sarasota County Commission on Tuesday approved the Route 10, which expands bus service to the southern end of the Poplar Key. It will run roughly every hour from 9:12 a.m. till 10:07 p.m. The new route will link to Route 11, which is currently servicing Siesta Key. No buses will stop at Siesta Key Beach and the hub bars, restaurants, and shops that make up the Siesta Key Village. They will stop there every 20-25 minutes. I was thinking, why the heck wouldn't they stop there? That's the place everyone wants to go. It is a 3-year grant from the FDOT, and that's funding this route. It's nearly $1.1 million in a grant, and it requires local matching, which the county plans to fulfill by paying bus operators salaries. According to the county documents, the route would not require the county to buy new buses. After the 3 years, they have to find some new funding, which they're hoping to have something in place. This is a homeless issue. It's back in the forefront again, and it will be for a while, folks. It's not going away anytime soon, especially with what we have going on right now with the city of Sarasota having basically issues with Doc Marlboro. And I've said this once, I've said it a million times. Why the hell did everybody buy in and say, yeah, let's go with this guy? When I was doing my show, I was not a fan of bringing this Doc Marlboro in here. I've read up on his history. I saw his 12 plans, his 12 ideas, and I didn't think A, that it was all that great. B, I thought it would be a major issue trying to get the county, the city of Sarasota, the city of Longboat Key, city of Venice, city of Northport, all to buy into this, and then have these different politicians accept the fact that they might have a homeless shelter being built in their area. What's that one guy got? 7, I think, up in his area in Sarasota. So anyways, the pathways to housing for homeless families are starting to forming across the county, while the creation of shelter for chronically homeless adults remains at a standstill. The chronically homeless, in my mind, I think there's actually a government definition that says homeless for X amount of time. It doesn't go into drug use or crime, but whenever I think chronics, and I could have sworn Doc Marlboro already alluded to this, you think of people that, A, have been homeless for a while and they really could care less. Their chronics are on drugs generally, sometimes, majority of them, and they have criminal records, majority of them. Okay, so that's how I view the chronics. The Sarasota County Commission received an update Tuesday on the efforts and decided to send a letter out to the city of Sarasota asking whether the city commissioners are still willing to partner with the creation of the Come As You Are shelter for adults. I'm not ready to say the partnership is broken. It's wobbly, said Nora Patterson. Christine Robinson said that she had no faith that the two sides could work together to build a shelter. So the first thing I start to think is, who the hell can you guys work with? The county can't work with any city. They can't work with Northport. They can't work with the city of Sarasota. I'm starting to think if the county doesn't get their freaking way, they can't work with anybody. I mean, they're ridiculous. This Christine Robinson, she's just, I tell you what, it's like they get this county job and it goes to their head and they think they're like the freaking congressional members for the United States representing Florida. And Christine Robinson feels she's too above anyone to talk to them. this lady just gets under my skin. I'm glad her term limits is up. The commissioner decided to write the letters whether the city still wants to meet in September on shelter sites, and if they plan to follow through on the consultant's criteria for the facility. The city should review Robert Marlborough's criteria, and because there's a glaring inherent contradiction between what they want and what the consultant thinks we should do. Several new options are forming for homeless families who have nowhere else to turn. In Northport, families will be directed to the Northport Family Service Center. There's a case manager from the Catholic Charities, and they'll be there along with room for families to sleep, which is good because according to this Dr. Marlborough, most of the families that are homeless are in Northport, Inglewood area. The family that spends up to a week at the emergency shelter could then live for 2 to 6 weeks at one of the 5 homes within walking distance of the center, which will be remodeled and owned by the agency. Agencies will continue to provide motel vouchers to families. Families that are struggling financially and do not have a serious mental health and substance abuse issues could be connected with a new branch of the National Organization of Family Promise, which is forming in the Venice area. I'm Venice scoop guy here in Venice area. I've never heard of this. The program houses homeless families for 13 weeks with a different church hosting the family each week and helping them become economically solvent, which is great. And, you know, if you're in Venice, you know me. You know my pages. You know the reach I have. Why they don't communicate stuff like this is beyond me. The Northport Family Service Center needs to be remodeled, which is estimated to cost about $120,000. The county documents show that will be split equally between the county and the Gulf Coast Foundation, which is spearheading the effort to help the homeless families. The county will use community housing funds. Also proposed using some federal funds to buy and remodel 5 homes near that center, which are estimated to cost about $100,000. So there you go. There's the homeless situation. You know, I'll probably go into a diatribe on it tomorrow. I have too much going on today, but I have a lot of thoughts on that, which I've expressed in the past. Too much to cover today, though, to do that. The next one is this is someone the Detail put out. I just started following them, and it's on Sarasota politics. It's about the local Republican Party and how they're running for the hospital board positions. And this person seems to have an issue with 2 of the challenger, one's being David Garofalo. And on here, he was a Northport City Commissioner, and he's challenging the incumbent Daryl Henry. Well, this paper, the details behind Daryl Henry. I wasn't sure, you know, when you read this article and you look at the 2 links they have there, they show how he had some kind of drinking problem where police were called out to his house. But nothing happened, so it's like, why the heck are you putting that stuff up there? And then the Suncoast Commissioners, where he got into a bar fight, which to me, I'm like, cool. But I put something out asking basically the Northport Scoop fans of about 6,000 people, what are your thoughts on this guy? And I didn't read all of them. I just read some of the initial ones, and everyone seemed to think that the guy's curing for what's going on in Northport and that he was a fine commissioner. So, you know, which for some, obviously it conflicts with whoever's writing the Detail and what they want or envision for the hospital. And then you have this Jack Brill, who they're saying that the daughter of Jack Brill, Victoria, that she decided to run as a write-in candidate. She didn't attend any debates, didn't engage in any fundraising, and because of this, it cost them about 150 votes and extra time and money, and sort of screwed the whole Republican people, basically effectively defranchising 150,000 county writers due to this write-in loophole. Not sure if I'm buying that. It seems this obviously is a one-sided document where this person obviously supports everybody that's in there right now, and she doesn't want any change. So. But, you know, it's good to read that stuff. You want to read the bad, the good, the stuff you agree with, the stuff you don't agree with, and then make your own decision. That's just like when I got Paul on tomorrow, I got someone that's a write-in coming in next week that's competing against him. You know, whose stance do you agree with more? Right now, what generally happens is a lot of people on these local level elections will go into the polls and they'll vote without knowing what the person stands for. if you're in Northport, do you want to, even though you can't vote for him because he's a Sarasota Longboat vote, you want to know what his stance is on Northport or on Warren Mineral Springs. And if it's something you're not in agreement with, then you may rally your friends in his voting district to go vote against him. You may step up efforts to vote against him because his challenger may have a better vision, a clearer vision that is more in line with you. To Warren Mineral Springs, both Sarasota County and Northport City leaders, as we all know, are unable to come to an agreement. What a surprise, the commission can't come in agreement with another city. The longtime Northport attraction could close again in less than 2 months. Sarasota County will discuss the issue again on this afternoon, where some have suggested that the county should consider buying out the city. The current short-term management deal at the spring is temporary. Is a temporary fix. It's not long-term. That ends, I think, August 31st. And they both met, the two county and city, and they just can't come to terms. Both sides jointly own it for $5.5 million, with that they bought in 2010. And for some oddball reason, the people that were on the city commission and the county commission at the time, apparently, from what we're seeing, did not discuss and see if they have the same vision for Warren Mineral Springs. Write it down in paper, sort of make it cloud-proof so that it can't be changed when you bring on a new commissioner or something. And they just said, hey, what the hell, let's go with it. There are all options available. Certainly one look at the city taking over the property. Sarasota County Commissioner Charles Hines said that's a possibility. I think our commission would consider an offer by the city of Northport to buy us out. For now, the two governments are stymied with two different approaches on how to preserve it. You have the city that wants to keep it basically the way it is, and then you have the county that wants to move forward. They want spas, hotels, and basically turn it into a major attraction. One thing I did not realize, I think they put down that it costs like $48,000 a month to run, and I made a comment yesterday. Wow, how the heck are you making any money on that thing? Ends up, Josh Tyler went out there and they made a profit of about $160,000 after cost. That's net, folks. That's net, and that's a short-term lease, and they've only had it a couple months. So obviously, that thing's a revenue cash cow. Now, when it closes, guess what? We're not going to make anything. It's going to cost us money. So, I like that. If you can't come to an agreement, I like the city's approach saying, hey, let's extend this short term for 1 year until something can be done. Either we buy each other out, either we come to an agreement, we get new commissioners, and we're able to marry thoughts together and do something. And we got ourselves a year instead of just letting it sit there. However, the county does not seem like they want to even entertain that idea. Again, the county. These idiots do not want to work with any of the city. They're above them for some reason. It's getting a little ridiculous. I think you need to vote all those idiots out, man. I'm glad the term limits is up on Barbetta, Christine Robinson. I think it's another year it's up, but these guys are ridiculous. All right. Next one, the zombie property. It's not going to spend a lot of time on it. We discussed it briefly yesterday. You may have noticed that homes around there are slipping and disrepair. They got the overgrown grass. They're sitting vacant, and they're just abandoned houses everywhere. And it doesn't look good for the neighborhood. It drives down property values. A lot of people have concerns out there. And we touched on most of this yesterday. So WWSB did do a story on it. I thought, well, let's play their story on it and see what they have to say and add anything new that people that listen to the show remember what I said.
Whether you go meatless every day or every now and then, Morningstar Farms has 12 burgers to pick from. Black bean, chickpea, quinoa, and each one's a good source of protein. Deciding which to grill up, that's the tough part.
I hope she's listening to the show out there. Here we go.
There's a rising number of so-called zombie homes on the Suncoast, that is, homes that have been foreclosed on or abandoned. Details from our Dwayne Lindo.
House that is dead, not in good condition.
Veteran real estate agent Kathy Lewis is referring to what are called zombie foreclosures. These are properties that have started the default process but have not yet been repossessed. For those who have noticed homes with overgrown grass, broken or boarded up windows, it's not the set for a future post-apocalyptic movie. It is an obvious abandoned home, an ugly eyesore to those residents living around it.
just sitting there, becoming more and more of a problem within the neighborhood.
According to Realty Track, a real estate data website, there are over 1,500 zombie properties in Sarasota and Manatee counties. As an agent, Lewis's job is to get the best value she can on property to get it consistent with the neighborhood.
Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae don't take their repairs lightly. They want to get good value for their money. So we have to go through a repair process.
The listing agent would then make suggestions on what is needed to make the home aesthetically pleasing, and from there would go into a bid process.
We can't do anything until we know that we have title and that the sale has actually gone through in the court system.
Lewis states foreclosed homes can get sold and auctioned quicker in communities with a strong homeowners association.
People thinking that, oh, they're all a wreck and they're, they can't be sold and it's going to take the values of the property down. That's not necessarily true, and it really has to do a lot with the community.
And experts say abandoned homes, like this one, can be susceptible to squatters, drug activity, and other crimes. Reporting in Manatee County, Dwayne Lindo, ABC7.
That's another issue, folks, and that's very accurate. What Dwayne just said is, those abandoned zombie homes that besides driving down your value of your property for the community, they are often referred to as drug houses. You have homeless that'll sit there and camp out in the houses, and the list just goes on and on. So it is a concern of the community and something that needs to be done. Unfortunately, you're not, the banks own it. They don't want to just let it go. They want their money. You don't really have someone that's going to buy one of these houses. I mean, look at them. Would you want to buy one of those houses? But we all know the issues, and I touched on all that yesterday. And because we have so much news today, we're moving forward. Along the whole theme of there being more real estate agents indicating that there's a better market out there, right now they're saying that Northport is flourishing, with the real estate numbers indicating that new construction in Northport has been increasing. There's some construction projects that have previously stalled in the area that are starting to pick up. They got the roadways going up, the housing. And a lot of people don't know this, but Northport almost comes down just south of where the Walmart is there. And there's a lot of new homes that were abandoned due to bankruptcies that are going up there now. So you're starting to see a lot more construction. I don't know about constructing more houses, though. I haven't checked lately, but they have a low vacancy rate out there with those houses. I think 60% are filled, 40% empty, yet they're building more and more houses out here, which doesn't make any sense, but we'll see what happens there. This is on the House race, and it's funny because I remember when Holder was running. This is a guy who lives in the Oaks in Sarasota, and he's basically representing Osprey, Northport, Venice, and all of us down here. And he was clueless as to what the common folk wanted. I haven't seen the guy in the 4 years he's been in there. I think 4 years, 6 years. I've never seen him down in the Venice area. And I referred to him as carpetbagger, and I was like, I'd rather run instead of having a carpetbagger there. And it looks like you got another carpetbagger coming into the picture. The funny thing is, though, this Gonzalez guy who's in Venice, he's a doctor here. He's probably just as clueless. They wanted me to. Someone contacted me to share his information on the page. I said, no, I can't do that. I don't know what he represents, what he stands for. I'm not going to just share it because he's from Venice, because a lot of people will think that I'm endorsing him. So I said, I'll do an interview with him, and we can see what he stands for. But it cracks me up when you have this guy, Gonzalez, saying, you're not a local. He's been here 10 years, folks. To me, a local is someone that went to high school here back in the 80s with me, my buddies. To me, Gonzalez is just like a lot of these people that sit on the city council that have been here less than 10 years, and they're ruining the city with the direction they want to go in, the direction they envision, which is different than the direction a lot of us locals that have been here for years and are implanted, our roots are here in the city. It's a different direction. The other thing, too, is how in touch is this guy with the common folk? I can tell you, if you ask anyone, I'm pretty much in tune with a lot of people here, from the common folk to the elites in this town. I pretty much am down in the dirt. I will never run for an office, and I'm not trying to build a case, so get that out of your heads. But it drives me crazy how people are trying to say, I'm local, I've been here 10 years. Just because you're 10 years doesn't mean you know what's going on. He said he knows he's got his finger on the pulse of Venice. I seriously doubt this elite doctor has his pulse on the city of Venice, on the South Venice, on Inglewood, on this whole area. I seriously doubt it. But there are two candidates that you have to go for. The other one is this Dean Napoli guy that they're calling the carpetbagger. He was a chairman of his Republican Party over on the East Coast down by Miami. Came over here, was here with a year, I think he's been here. He said he was suggested by friends that he run for it after he moved here. And he says he didn't move here just for that position. And then they're talking about their financing and how much money they're bringing in. Both guys are basically bringing in a ton of money from outside their district, and which is expected, especially with Dean Napoli. Gonzalez, what else did they say here? Yeah, Dean Napoli moved to Sarasota just over a year ago. He raised about $260,000 for his campaign, but 60% of that money donations came directly from him in his business ventures. With Gonzalez, he's lived here for 10 years. He's raised $204,000 for the campaign. Just under $31,000 of that came from himself. The remaining $173,000 came from outside Sarasota County. What does that mean to us is that you got outsiders that are basically deciding the direction of our politics are going to go in this city, which should be a concern for each and every one of you. But it's not. I can tell you. I put these articles out here. Most people see politics. They don't want to have anything to do with it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to hear about it. But then they want to complain when these politicians pass something like the rezoning out by Border Road and changing it from 1 house per 5 acres to 1.7 per 5 acres or whatever they're looking at now, which is a shame. People should get more involved in the politics, and it's key. It's essential. They don't understand how much it impacts their life, their business, their jobs, the community. On this one, though, yeah, you got the Republicans that rival this Gonzalez guy. He's the top one. He's calling this Dean Napoli, the guy with the big ears on the bottom, saying that his opponent's campaign is that he's basically a carpetbagger. Dean Napoli is accusing Gonzalez of running around his house taking pictures and scaring him. Gonzalez said he did that because he went over there and just to show that DiNapoli isn't living there. It was barely finished. DiNapoli said, "Oh, that's when I was getting the floors refinished, probably." So it's turned into a bitter fight between the two people. And I think I have invited both on for an interview. Have not heard back. So we'll see what happens. And let's see, redevelopment in Nokomis. This is the video on that redevelopment. You guys know, as I said yesterday, I don't know if it's a redevelopment. You do have some businesses coming in there, but you got the...
Well, over the last few years, several businesses in Nokomis closed because of hard economic times, but things are beginning to turn around, and you can see progress along US 41. SNN's Grant Boxleitner has that story.
It's been years since something's really happened. We just went through a recession. Of course, that knocked everybody down the lot.
Bill Rowland says his business under construction along Donna Bay has some of the best views on the Sun Coast. It's just some of the activity breathing life back into Nokomis, an area hit hard by the Great Recession.
Well, it's being built as a deli. It's commercial general. The docks are considered commercial docks because they're attached to commercial properties.
Across the street, Cafe Evergreen, once at Warm Mineral Springs, is operating in a former bank building.
You know, we're providing a niche. There's nothing in the area like this that provides a healthy, organic restaurant. And we're doing a few different things that are really unique. We're supplying a nice juice bar, some healthy drinks for the people.
Owner Ted Weinberger says his business and those nearby are stimulating the local economy.
I employ 35 different people. So there's 35 people in this area that didn't have a job a couple months ago. And so that's really bringing a lot of life to the area.
And later this week, this 4-acre site at Albee Road and 41 is scheduled to be auctioned off, and some believe this could pave the way for a new hotel. Anita's restaurant in Nokomis also has big plans with an ongoing renovation.
I just think we're seeing just a little bit of revival in this area and hopefully make it sort of a destination spot for people to go. And there's a lot of alternatives.
There's a lot of neat things happening, and we're excited for the future.
Reporting in Nokomis, Grant Boxleitner.
I don't know if I'm buying into the whole revitalization thing. As I said yesterday, look, you have that golf cart place and Ollie's both left there. You had one business replace them, which is the dive shop that was in Venice, just around the corner from there. Then you had you have that. They mentioned the Bayside Grill yesterday. That's been there for about 2 years. My buddy Pat opened it, sold it to the current owners. You do have Center of Hope that opened, which a lot of business owners in that general area became a little discouraged about and were not too excited about, as they reported in the Herald. You do have Anita's there, but Anita's has always been there. They're just remodeling it and changing it some. But that strip mall right across from Anita's still sits basically empty. There's nothing really in there. So, sure, you see this place opening, and that guy does have it for sale in front of that deli. So he's actually, he says it's a deli. He says he's waiting to buy it, but then there's this for sale sign for it. So I'm assuming he's going to try dumping it off. So it's not really going to be doing anything. He may start to get it going and with hopes to sell it. Who knows? So I'm not buying the whole revitalization. I'm buying that there is an uptick, and it's a positive uptick. I don't know if I'd say it's a revitalization. Just a different perspective on it. How about this VPD Parisho? We brought him up a few times. This is the guy that was in trouble just a couple months ago again for something else, and it was sexual harassment on 2 fellow police women. This is just a follow-up on the story yesterday because he was escorted out of the building by my buddy Chief McNulty. He said that Sergeant Ron, this guy John Patton that writes his blog, said calls him Cockblock. Ron Cockblock Parisho was escorted out of the Venice Police Department building by Chief McNulty. Later issued a memo stating that he was on administrative leave and it's not allowed on police department property at all. He had to turn in his badge, his gun. He was able to keep his phone so that he could continue communications with the VPD. So I don't know if this is in relation to the IA investigation where he was, they concluded that he was sexually harassing 2 female officers, or if this is just another issue out there of the many that he's come into. I don't know the guy. I found out that I went to high school with his wife, his ex-wife, and I haven't seen her in a long time, but I remember her from high school. But a lot of the locals that know this guy said he, outside of being at the VPD, the guy was a real jerk. And he used to basically use his power of being an officer to just be a major ass. I'm not on live TV. I'm on live internet to many people. So a lot of people are happy about this because he appears to have issues in the uniform and out of the uniform. And everybody knows my stance on police abuse. I can't stand it. It's one of the biggest issues I have. I hammer that all the time on my second half of my show. I actually have something on the militarization. I don't know if I'll get to it, though, today with all the interviews I have on there. This is just a crime. This is some thieves. If you've seen these two, this individual, this lovely lady, came in with her 3 kids and decided to rob the Avi store. I think it's called. My wife calls her Ultra. And it looks like 3 twins. They're all dressed the same. And they're looking for someone to help identify this lady that decided to use her 3 triplets, not twins, to help her rob the Ultra store. So I've had that video out on my Taking the Bite Out of Crime Facebook, on my Sarasota Scoop Facebook, Northport Scoop, and I don't remember if I put it on the Big Scoop one. All right, that's that video. Next, we got a kidnapping case. This is a real quick one. The guy is from 1996. It looks like they're going to sentence him again. He's basically going to spend his life in jail. This is Jura Kleppinger. He was convicted of his 96 kidnapping of a correction officer, Wayne Allen, when he and another inmate attempted to escape. Circuit George Frederick Mercurio resends Klepper to 122.25 months for the kidnapping charge. That's a 10-year, 2-month sentence, and that will be added to his 41-year sentence that he has now. So that guy, he better set up camp in jail. That's what I'm thinking there, folks. All right, let's see. We're going to do our first interview. I'm going to save Jen for later or tomorrow. We're going to do Meg right now. This is an interesting lady. You'll hear it. Hey everybody, this is Francesco Abbruzzino. We're here today with Megan Surlowski. Did I mess up your last name, Megan?
Yeah, it's okay. it's Durleski. It doesn't look anything like it.
I gave it the old college try. Well, she's coming out with a new book on August 2nd. It's called Who Am I? How My Daughter Taught Me to Go and Live Again. And it's about a journey into postpartum depression, anxiety disorder, panic attacks, stays in a psych ward, divorce, domestic violence, law school, how she managed to get through all that, finish law school, and emerge with a beautiful little girl that she now has, which is, your daughter's what, 3 years old, Meg?
Yeah, she's about 3.5. So, yeah, her birthday's in December.
So tell us a little bit. What was the drive and ambition behind the story? It sounds like you've had quite the pathway to, quite the journey towards writing this book.
Yeah, it started out as I really didn't know what else to do because I graduated law school and I took the bar in Michigan and I missed passing it by like 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and I honestly didn't know if I wanted to take it again so soon, like right after. So all my friends were like, you know what, you're a good writer. Why don't you write down everything that happened to you in the last 3 years? So I thought, well, all right, I'll do that. And, I wrote it and I was like, well, okay, I wrote it, so let me send it out. And, after like 20 or 30 rejection letters, Black Opal Books finally, contacted me and offered me a contract, and it's kind of been taken off since there.
Well, that's great. Now, tell us a little, with this book, give us some background on why you chose to write a memoir. And I know you just said because, you the lawyer thing and stuff, but what was there more of a driving force behind that?
There was, and I discovered that during, my time in the hospital and while I was going through everything, there's definitely two messages that are very important for me to get out with my book. One of them is postpartum depression, because there's still kind of a stigma about postpartum depression. Women are too embarrassed to admit that they have it, or they don't want to seek help for it. I was in the mental health ward because mine was so bad, and I knew I needed to find a treatment right away so I could get back and take care of my daughter. And the second one was, my second message is about domestic violence, and not physical, really, but emotional, and that doesn't really get talked about a lot. And I didn't even know that I was in a domestic violence, emotionally abusive marriage until I was in the hospital and in group therapy, and 10 strangers told me, you need to get out, you're being emotionally abused. So those are the two messages that I definitely want people to get across from reading my book.
And I think that's a valid point about that. A lot of people are in verbally abusive relationships, and they don't realize it.
No, exactly. Growing up, my parents, who've been married for 40 years, I never really saw them argue very much, but I know it's because my dad's like me and we don't like confrontation. So, when I got into my marriage, I already knew that my ex-husband, he had anger issues, but I thought, okay, well, we can work on those. No, it's more than that. It's way more than that. It's name calling, it's putting you down, it's constantly, making you feel like you're worthless, you're ashamed of yourself, and a lot of people don't realize that is verbally and emotionally abusive.
So does your book help a person that possibly is going through postpartum or is mentally abused?
Yeah.
Does it help them to get a better understanding of how to cope with it and continue their journey through life?
Yeah, definitely, because I definitely wanted to get that through, and I have, almost a whole chapter designated to both issues. So when I talk about postpartum in my book, I talk about going to the mental health ward and how scary it was for me, because I thought, I'm not crazy. Why am I here? And it's not, going to the mental health ward shouldn't even be a stigma in today's society, because, a lot of people have mental illnesses and, need to seek treatment for it. And, seeking treatment for something like postpartum depression, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. So, and again, I also have another chapter on, looking for the signs of emotional abuse. And I quote from a really good book by Eleanor Payson, a therapist who deals in emotional abuse and domestic violence relationships. And I have a lot of, signs and I give a lot of examples that happen throughout my life to kind of help the reader, might realize, wow, I know someone, or I am in this relationship and I need to get out.
Okay, and do you go through any steps or processes that they may want to take to try to, you give the processes for recognizing it. Do you give any processes for trying to get out of it or try to cope with it, or I would?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely, my whole journey, my book starts, obviously when I met my ex, and it, ends when I finally was free of him, like free of the marriage, free of, the child custody battle and everything. But I do detail my journey along the way and the bumps that I went, and the treatment that I had, the therapy that I had, how it was difficult for me for the first year to realize that I'm not worthless, and that I somebody will marry me again if I want, because he always used to tell me, no one else is ever going to marry me. So I definitely, someone that is maybe in that kind of relationship will definitely read about my journey and the steps that I took and how difficult it was. And it is difficult to get out, but if you're in that relationship, you need to definitely get out.
Now, you mentioned being in the psych ward, which I can't imagine, but you sort of said that one of your motivations for getting out was getting back with your daughter. And how has she helped to change your life and help you to cope with some of these issues?
Yeah, people ask me, they're like, do you regret marrying your ex? And I always say no, because without him, I wouldn't have had Madeline, my daughter. And she is really the driving force that got me out of that marriage. Because even though I had postpartum depression, I knew that I needed to keep my daughter protected. And so, when it came down to it, I had to choose between my marriage and my daughter, and that's not a choice, obviously. Right. She could not grow up in that environment and around that person. And it's so I moved out and I moved in with my parents and took it from there.
So is it safe to assume it was a pretty nasty divorce then?
It was, and it didn't have to be, because he gave up his joint custody rights almost immediately.
Wow, see, I would never do that as a father.
Yeah, exactly, and that was my biggest struggle, I think, for the 3 years, because I was like, how can you give up joint custody? I mean, she was 4 months old when he told me he didn't want joint custody, and it shocked me.
Wow, that was one of the first moves he did, huh?
Yeah,
that's a shame.
Yeah, because divorce, okay, but I've never, from the very beginning, I told him, I'm like, you know what, you need to be a part of your daughter's life. You're her father, no matter what happens between us. And for some reason, he didn't believe that, and he did drastic things and took drastic measures, and it really didn't need to be as ugly as he made it. But
wow.
He was using Madeline to get back at me, and that was obviously not. I wasn't going to stand for that.
Okay, so let me ask you this: What do you hope that any of the readers that hopefully some of the listeners will buy your book, and if they read it, what do you hope they will take away from it? Obviously, dealing with these different situations, is there anything else you'd like for them to take away with it?
I would like people to realize that, I felt like I was trapped in my marriage because, after a year of marriage, I kind of realized this was not going to work, and I felt trapped, but I didn't want to leave because I thought I was going to let my friends down, my family down, so I stayed in a marriage that I probably shouldn't have stayed in, and, it's like, you don't want to go down the divorce road, but, honestly, it's like if that's the solution for you to get out of a relationship like that, then it's okay. And, people are going to judge you, and a lot of people judged me, some people even from my family. And after a while, I had to brush it off and be like, you know what, you're going to think what you want to think, and that's fine. But I know I had to do what was right for me and what was right for Madeline.
All right. And now I see your book comes out in less than a month, but I see you're actively on a blog there. What are you trying to communicate with that blog? Is it something along the same lines as what the book is all about?
Yeah, well, my book comes out August 2nd. I started my blog, actually, I think the end of November. And at first, I was just writing kind of like little anecdotes from my life and stories about Madeline. And I was like, you know what, I don't know know if I'm that interesting that people are going to want to look at my blog all the time. So I started a series called Authors Supporting Authors on my blog, and every day I feature a new author. Yeah, like an indie author, one that's been published. You know, anyone that contacts me through my website, I've never turned it on.
Oh, so at this point, I lose her. If she does come back, you don't want to hear me talking my garbage, so let's move forward a little bit. Separate books of individuals, just to get that information. Let me see if I can call. Here we go. Okay, she must be having some Megan. Hey, Megan. Hey, Megan.
Hey, we lost you.
Yeah, I was trying to carry the conversation. I'm like, hopefully she's going to call back in.
Yeah.
I think I lost you after I asked that last question, and I don't even remember what it was. Do you?
Yeah, about my blog.
Okay, about your blog. That's right. And I started going through it and telling people about the different authors that you're supporting. If you want to pick up from there.
Okay. Yeah. No, you know, I usually put like kind of a call out for authors every month on a bunch of Facebook groups, and I just say, you know what, you know, I get, you know, I market really hard right now, so I have really, I mean, it comes across as bragging, and I'm not. I swear I'm not. But you know, I get about anywhere from right now like 700 to about 1,000 visitors to my site every day, and because I market a lot, you know. So and one of the reasons is because, you know, I put a lot of these authors on my blog, and people really, I've had a lot of people email me and say thank you for introducing these new authors, and I love doing it. So yeah. So if any of your listeners are authors, or you know, they want, you know, some exposure and some marketing, please contact me through my website, and I will be happy to feature you on my blog.
Yeah, and I see you just got a ton. Now, are those authors that are over to the right of your blog, where you have the different names going down there?
Yeah, I think since I started my series at the end of December, I have interviewed maybe like 120 or something. So, yeah, there's a lot on there.
Oh, that's great. Okay, now, so you have that. You have some of your past interviews. You have about the book. Now, with the book, are you currently working on anything new after this book comes out on the 2nd? Do you have anything in the works?
Yeah. I am. I'm working on a criminal, like a crime fiction, sort of like a John Grisham book, and that ties back to my, you know, my law school days, because, you know, there's so many nuances and loopholes in the law, and I guess while everyone else in law school was taking notes, I was actually thinking, wow, this would make a really good book, which might fly it past the bar on. So now I'm going back to those notes that I took in class about what would be a good story, and kind of, you know, putting those down into plot. So hopefully I'll have my first crime fiction book out next year.
So it sounds like you're going to stay on this road of just writing books and enjoying the good life and blogging about the other authors out there. Is that right?
Yeah, you know, I am using my law degree in that I just finished a training to become a domestic relations mediator, and so hopefully I'm going to open up my mediation practice probably at the beginning of next year. I want to get a little more, you know, observations under my belt before I do that. But yeah, so if I can do part-time mediation, part-time writing, and infuse that into full-time, that would be living the good life.
Great. Well, we wish you the best of luck. Now, why don't we do this? Go ahead and tell everybody where your website is. While you were talking, I've had your Facebook and your webpage up, going back and forth between the two. And your webpage is at the bottom. When I send out a communication to all my Facebook pages and YouTube and everything, I'll include all those addresses. But why don't you go ahead and give it out so that they have some verbal, hear you say it out there.
Yeah, great. You can find my website. It's www.meganrulewski.com, and on there you can find all my links to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn. My blog's on there. How to contact me is on there. Like, everything is pretty much on there.
Okay. And do you check your Facebook a lot of times?
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what we're going to do is Megan's book comes out on the 2nd. I've asked her to remind me in case I forget, but I'll send this interview out again on the 2nd when your book's released. If you want to send me a link to the Amazon or whoever is carrying it for you.
Yeah.
And we'll get that out there. And it was great meeting you. I like what you're doing with that blog, and I'm glad that you overcame a lot of these obstacles because that's great. A lot of people would have just given up. They would have turned to the drugs, and their life would have been basically written off. Unfortunately, so, you're an inspiration.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was great talking to you, Megan, and best of luck, and stay in touch with Megan. Interesting individual, and I'd like to read her book. I'll probably catch her book and check it out and see basically what she's got written down there and what it's all about. Now, I am going to go into a couple lines, and then I'm going to play the next interview for you guys because I have to take about a 15-minute break to handle some business that's out here. So we'll go into a few more things, and then we'll go into that interview. The next I was looking at is on license plate readers. This is actually a road rant by me, guys. And here's the thing. These license plate readers are being used in Northport with Stingrays, with the license plate readers, the Sarasota County Sheriff, the city of Sarasota, Longboat Key. They just had the license plate reader up in the light fixtures that busted that one guy. And from that perspective, when you're arresting someone committing crime, that's great. They're great. However, there should be some limitations, which I cover in this rant. And I'm trying to bring out the awareness, that they're out there, like the Stingray, that a lot of people aren't aware of. And actually, that guy, Barsfield, is with the one that brought the Stingray to everyone's attention. So he does do some good things. So let's go ahead and listen to this rant briefly. It's a quick one, and it just covers some of the concerns that we need the cameras, which suggests that just possibly it has something to do with Homeland Security. But no one has articulated a rationale. We probably should start it before. The rogue rant. What am I ranting about today? The day before the 4th. License plate readers. The police, they're spying on you. The Popo, they're watching. Several police agencies, such as Longboat Key, the city of Sarasota, and the county sheriff, are tracking your movements through the use of license plate readers, which are mounted on the trunk of their patrol cars or up in the light fixtures in the streets. Plate numbers are immediately compared against a database of unregistered and stolen cars and owners with warrants out for their arrest. A hit from license plate reader program just gave us a arrest the other day with an individual that was stealing bikes out of Longboat Key. So this is a good thing, right? What's wrong with that? Nothing, I say, nothing. If and only if it ends there. But all too often it doesn't end there, folks. It's up to each police department to decide how long to keep the data and how to use it. I'm very worried, very concerned, and it keeps me up at night thinking that millions of records are being kept on innocent people and that they may be stored indefinitely and used against them at some point in the future. Even though the technology is not new, Florida has really no laws governing the use of plate readers and what is done with the data they collect. Legislators and our next governor need to remedy this issue. We should ask law enforcement to justify the need for collecting license plate data. State and federal grants largely are paying for the cameras, which suggests that just possibly it has something to do with Homeland Security. But no one has articulated a rationale for collecting so much data on the movements of innocent, and I emphasize innocent, Americans, folks. Law enforcement should explain why data should be kept beyond the few minutes it takes to see if the car is stolen or the driver's wanted. How long can it be used to charge someone with a crime? If there is sufficient reason to store the information, is it kept in a secure box? Is it only opened if a warrant is present? After a prescribed amount of time, is it shredded virtually? Furthermore, police departments should publicly and proactively state the rules under which they operate license plate readers. Who has access to the information? Under what conditions can it be shared? And how can they make sure that their own rules are being followed? Who's auditing the auditors? The answer the live it free and die state has banned license plate readers over privacy concerns. Maine, well, they let them keep it up to the data up to 21 days. How about Onondaga County store their data for 1 year? Generally speaking, most state police keep it 5 years. A proposed federal law would end this patchwork of rules, but it's not likely to pass anytime soon now, is it? So Florida should come up with its own rules. In an election year, law and order legislators may be worried about being seen as anti-cop. They should be more worried about being seen as anti-privacy. Revelations about NSA spying on Americans has shaken us all up. We've been far too complacent about invasions of our personal privacy, our freedom of association, and our freedom of speech. We must strike back at government's unwarranted, unlimited snooping into our whereabouts. Is this whole scenario, this whole license plate reader, is it just another stingray operation that operates under a veil of secrecy? I hope not. Look, I get the facts that there's no expectation of privacy in the public streets. I get that. That lack of privacy, however, does not give the government perpetual or even extended rights to store data that details a person's whereabouts without a reason to suspect said person of a criminal act. Is the data collection active or passive? Active collection involves law enforcement officials searching for a particular suspect and shifting through data in real time, or very near real time, to find him. It is responsible use of technology that protects the public and maintains respect of civil liberties, wouldn't you say? However, if it's passive, this involves collection of storing license plate information and building a database of personal information, including the person's whereabouts and daily patterns. It does conflict with the principles that informed the Fourth Amendment. Collecting this kind of data for such an extended period is very unnecessary. Worse, it permits an overreach of government which directly conflicts with the law designed to balance law enforcement and personal privacy. Proponents claim that the technology is indispensable in solving and preventing crimes, and it undermines the experience of the police in Hampton, where officials dropped their license plate reader programs because they said they were not seeing the results, according to their spokesperson, Lou Thurston. So, with all that being said, what I suggest is that the utility of this technology, at best, is debatable. It's debatable, folks, the utility. Its effect on society, however, is incompatible with the right to be free from unreasonable searches by government. This data storage should stop. This has been Francesco Abbruzzino with another rogue rant on data storage and the concerns that I have with the collection and storage of said data. Next, we're going into medical marijuana. Actually, you know what? Let's save that because there's a rogue rant on that we want to save. We'll cover that for tomorrow. This is an interesting article on the dangers of Roundup. And one thing I don't think gets covered enough is the impacts, the effects of Roundup from that lovely company we all refer to as Monsanto. Okay? And what it is glyphosate is a major component of Monsanto's Roundup herbicide. It was created and manufactured on a mass scale by Monsanto and is one of the most widely used herbicides in the world. A new groundbreaking study has now found that the most active ingredient in Monsanto's best-selling herbicide, Roundup, which we all use around the house, you spray it on your vegetables, you spray it everywhere, folks. It's responsible for fueling breast cancer by increasing the number of breast cancer cells through cell growth and cell division. Researchers also determined that the Monsanto Roundup is considered an exostrogen, which is a foreign estrogen that mimics real estrogen in our bodies. This can cause a number of problems that include an increased risk of various cancers, early onset of puberty, thyroid issues, infertility, and more. Scientists are also recently discovered that the Bt toxins found in Monsanto's crops are damaging to the red blood cells, which are key to delivering oxygen to the body. They have been linked to cancer and kidney function decline. You can read more about it out there. There's a ton of information. It just doesn't stop there, though. Monsanto's Roundup was also linked to autism, Parkinson, Alzheimer's disease, and much more, folks. When you ingest glyphosate, you are in essence altering the chemistry of your body based upon all this. It's completely unnatural, and your body doesn't resonate with it. Obviously, the chemistry behind glyphosate is known by Monsanto. The fact that it disrupts your CYP gene pathway, the enzymes that play a major role in the body detoxification, is something that can easily contribute to illness and disease. And I wonder if this has a direct correlation to the pharmaceutical industry, possibly. There are deep ties there with Big Pharma and Agra. The same major financial institutions that own major biotech and food corporations also own most of the major pharmaceutical companies. Mainstream media here in the States will always promote GMOs and Roundup as well as emphasize their safety. That couldn't be further from the truth, though, based upon the scientific data and information that's out there, folks. So just remember that when you're spraying Roundup up in the yard. And I usually love putting this picture up. It's a guy out there basically spraying the Roundup. I think there's two people in it. And they're all dressed in this white garb with a mask and everything because the chemicals are so hazardous. Yet they're out there spraying it on a harvest of broccoli, tomatoes, whatever it is that they're harvesting out there. And we're consuming it as consumers, which is horrifying. Horrifying. All right, next we're going to go into, this is an interview with Jim Donovan, and I filmed this earlier today, as I did. He's going to discuss, he's got a new book out called Happy at Work, and what it does is give people advice and guidance on how to be happier at work. A lot of us are stuck in situations where we're at jobs because it was the only job out there, and he goes through how to make, turn it into a better situation instead of just sitting around griping about, oh God, another work day. So let's go into this, and let's get you guys on the right screen, and let's go into this interview, which was earlier. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Francesco Abbruzzino, and I am here today with a special guest, Jim Donovan. He's an author, a speaker, and a coach. He's helping you to create the life you were born to live, and his latest book is Happy at Work, Inspire, Engage, and Excite. How are you doing out there today, Jim?
I'm doing great, Francesco. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. Tell us a little bit about your book, and what are some of the expectations, and what would you like to see people walk away with after they're done reading it?
Well, the book is a simple little book with 60 chapters. The subtitle on it is 60 Simple Ways to Stay Engaged and Be Successful. What I would like to see as a takeaway for people is that they learn different ways to make themselves feel better. And I wrote the book in response to what's going on in the workplace. According to Gallup, 70% of the people are disengaged. The price tag for that is $550 billion in lost productivity every year. Yeah. I don't think we can sustain that. I don't think people want to be that way.
Are they just attributing that to the people not being happy, or are there other variables like the Facebook variable?
Well, no, they're talking about people that are unhappy. It was really about disgruntled workers. There's 18% of the workforce that's actively disengaged. They spend their time trying to spread ill will throughout the company. There's a lot of factors at work here, but what people are finding out, this is really the key of the whole thing, is that companies and studies coming out of Harvard and various companies are finding out, this shouldn't be any big surprise, by the way, that as you make people happier, they become more engaged. As they become more engaged, they become more productive, and the net result is more revenue and increase in business. So companies are now starting to reinvest in their employee development. This is a good thing for everybody.
Well,
people are really unhappy that want to leave are going to leave, and people who want to do better are going to do better.
So how do you, I'm a business owner, small business owner, how do you recognize that they are unhappy? Because generally they're not going to say it to me. You might be able to pick up on some body language or some comments they may make. And then after you recognize it, what do you do to try to correct it?
Well, you try to bring people back in. I think one of the problems, there's a couple of things that I addressed in the book and in my seminars and coaching, and it really works around the idea that, number one, why am I here? Why am I getting out of bed in the morning? What's my whole life? Let's go back and start with my life. I wake up in the morning, what am I like? And because I'm going to carry that through the day, and I come into the workplace, why am I going to work? Why do I go to this job today? Is it just because I came here yesterday? I don't know where else to go. You know, what got me engaged in this in the first place? Why did I want to be in this particular career, this particular field? What's it providing for me? You know, so often, a lot of what I'm reading in the media is talking about what companies can do to re-engage people, and that's great. I think companies have a real responsibility here, especially in training and developing their people. But there's a flip side. If I'm going to be spending 8 or 10 hours of my day, my life, which is all I have, at a workplace, at a job, I want to find ways to feel better about it. So it's kind of a lot of it is taking control of my own communication with myself. Instead of looking at all the things that are wrong with what's going on, let's flip that around. What's good about this job? How about, hey, hello, it puts food on your table. Wow, there's a big plus. If you've ever been without food for any period of time, you know what I'm talking about. And they're done that.
So, you know, a lot of people will sit here today and they say, look, you know, I'm not happy in my job, but there weren't a lot of opportunities out there, and I basically took what was available. And you're saying, you know, it's great. You may have had to settle where some people actually were lucky enough to fall into what they like. Like, I love doing this radio show. But if you're not happy, and even though you're stuck taking a job because it was the only one out there, you have to take personal ownership and make yourself happy. You have to find the positive attributes of that job. Is that what you basically telling them to walk away with, and they got to try to find some happiness within there?
Well, that's part of it, and there's a little more to it than that, because if I start analyzing what do I want in my own life, that's kind of where I start with people. Is what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? Where do you want to be? So even if, let's say I'm in a job that I don't particularly want, like you said, I just landed in and it's not where I want to be, it's not doing what I want to be doing, it's important to understand that until I start feeling better right where I am in the present, I cannot possibly attract what I want in the future. I can't be hating where I am and being angry about my job and being talking it down and all of this trash that you hear from people and expect to attract a better opportunity. Law of attraction says that doesn't happen. You can't do that. That violates principles of the universe. So I have to start getting into a place of where I'm in gratitude, I'm in appreciation. Find something to appreciate. I don't care what you're doing for a job. I've done all kinds of things in my life. My life is like been an experiment. Really, I mean, I've done, you name it, I've never done that. A lot of it's in my books and on my website, and I've hit bottom, and that's how I know a lot of what I know. I learned the hard way. I learned by living through it and struggling through it, and having to figure out ways to make myself feel better so I wouldn't commit suicide at one point. That was hard. So yeah, so you learn how to just what is good about this job? What do I like? What gets me here? And find a little thread to make me feel better, because as I feel better, my energy, my vibration, everything goes up. I start to attract more of what I want in my life. So maybe I'll move. Maybe an opportunity will show up in my face. Maybe a company will move me to a different job within the company. That happened to someone I know. Was very unhappy in a position, a high-level position, and not so easy to replace. He went looking, actually started to take another job and talked to his boss and found out what was really going on. And the company said, you know what, we want to keep you, we're going to make some adjustments to keep you here, that you'll be happier and we're all going to benefit. Because high-level people, in particular, managers and on up, are not so easy to replace. Now, this isn't like somebody's going to pop into this job and learn it in 10 minutes. If you're a VP or an AVP or somewhere, that person walks out the door, you just spent another $300,000-$400,000 trying to replace them.
Right.
So there's a lot of issues at play here. And I think the bottom line of it all is that we deserve to be happier in our work, in our lives, period. People aren't happy in their life. That's the bigger picture of what I'm doing here. But, you know, the workplaces where the attention is right now, the workplaces where presumably companies are willing to spend some money to invest in their people. I'm trying to get in there and work with the people, make them feel better, raise them up. You know?
So you're saying one of the things is if, let's say you have a boss that's just a jerk and you're going through everything, all the processes to try to enjoy this work atmosphere that you've been stuck with because there's nothing out there. You're like, hey, I took this job, I got to make it happen. But you got a boss that just keeps coming at you. Would you suggest sitting down with them and trying to work through it? Because sometimes that doesn't work so well, does it?
Not necessarily, but that's a tricky situation because there are things in any situation. There are things that you can change, things that you cannot change. And the important part of that, and this is out of the Serenity Prayer, the important part is to know the difference between the two. So maybe I can't change my boss. I can change my interaction. I can maybe try to develop, a lot of times, and I address this in Happy at Work in a short chapter. There's 60 chapters and 140 or so pages. So they're really short chapters. But I talk about dealing with difficult people. And, sometimes you just can't avoid having to deal with these people because maybe it's your boss. you've got to find a way to feel better. You got to find a way to be able to communicate with them. And sometimes it's just a matter of giving that other person the respect that they deserve. I mean, you may be a jerk, but you deserve my respect even through that. So you try to recognize that we're all human beings. We're all pretty much doing the best we can here, folks. And yeah, I may be acting like a jerk at the moment. There may be a whole lot of things behind that. Because if that boss is a jerk, I'll tell you from my own knowledge and experience, they're not a happy person. Happy people not treat other people poorly.
Now,
bottom line right there. You know, high self-esteem people raise people's self-esteem, not the other way around.
Well, I think a lot of times someone's lifestyle could impact how they are feeling at work. And it sounds like your book, you know, how to deal with people that are just pains in the butt and whatever, I forget the specific title of that chapter, but you can take that information and use it in your personal life, which in turn will, if you make that a positive outcome, it'll help you on the work end, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's been my turf for the last 18 years. I wrote Handbook to a Happier Life and What Are You Waiting For? It's Your Life. And a lot of 5 other personal development books. This one happens to have the word work in it, so it's getting a little more focus and attention, addressing the issue in the workplace, because that's an issue that, you know, when a company starts losing money, all of a sudden your happiness and well-being becomes more important. You know, your happiness is not a factor if everything else is the same. All being equal, whether you're happy at home or not is not really my job as your employer. But as soon as that's starting to come into the workplace and I realize that we're losing money because you're not happy at home and at work, well, if I could change that, let me change it. And 3 things are going to happen. The people that are engaged and you're going to feel better. The people that are borderline are going to start learning some skills that they can use. Because a lot of this is just tools and techniques that you can use to pull your own strings, push your own buttons. And the people that are totally disengaged, they're going to learn how to be more engaged. They're going to either choose to do that or they're going to leave. So either way, you win. You know, companies don't want people. Someone told me this yesterday. Companies are trying to figure out an easy way to let people go that would rather be gone. And that's important. If you're in a job, you really want to be somewhere else, the company ideally would help you get there. Make that path easier. Help support you in going somewhere where you are going to be happy, because there's someone that wants this job that will be thrilled to have it, whatever that job is. Maybe anything from mopping floors to CEO. There's somebody that would like the job that you're so angry and unhappy in. So when the music stops, if everybody can sit down and be where they want to be, we're all going to be better off. That's kind of an idealistic view.
Now, does your book also help the manager to learn how to cope or handle some of the employees better so that they are happier?
Well, that's a big part of it, because sometimes, and if you talk to people one-on-one and you start really picking away at why they're not happy at work, you hear a couple of things. You hear, you know, we're asked to do more with less. Everybody's being asked to do more with less. Most people I've talked to are not really complaining about that. What they are complaining about is not being recognized for it.
Really?
That's an easy enough thing to fix. If I'm a manager, I can fix that in a heartbeat. The other things that you're hearing is they don't feel connected to the company. I heard this at a really high level of a really big company that'll remain nameless, because it's embarrassing that their managers were walking out after hearing the corporate vision and not seeing their connection to it. So there's a case where a manager can do a little bit of strategic planning session with the team, bring people in and say, all right, here's the goal for the company, here's the vision for our department, here's the vision for your responsibility. Let's see how all of this fits together. So now I'm starting to see my role in the big picture. I'm going to automatically begin to feel better.
You know,
this is not brain surgery, by the way.
Yeah, no, and it makes a lot of common sense. But you know, a lot of times, I remember when I was a regional manager with GTE, and I was managing our wireless and our CLEC, and a lot of times I had the challenge of keeping my team happy, but meeting the company's objectives, which sometimes conflicted with each other. Because you know, when you're over there telling your salespeople, hey, I want 40 lines or I'm going to have to fire you, they're not going to be too happy when you're keeping that pressure on them. And it's trying to find that balance sometimes as a manager dealing with your employees.
It's tricky. And some of that, in my opinion, would go back to, are these sales goals and things, are they even reasonable? Does anybody expect to reach them? I've seen that in companies where somebody will pick a goal, and this is a story right out of telecommunications. Firsthand from my wife, who was in a meeting with the vice president at New York Telephone at the time, and they said something about what are we going to get the statistics for this meeting And her boss, who was an AVP, looked at her and said, just take them off the crosstown bus. So you wait for the bus to go by, you write down the number on the side of the bus, and then you project. I mean, that's happened. I've been at pricing meetings, and you've been there too, where how much are we going to sell this widget for? Somebody will be like, oh, I don't know, pick a number, and they'll see if it works, if it's test. So sometimes maybe the whole thing needs to be looked at. But if you have salespeople and you're leaning heavily on them to reach goals, most salespeople are okay with that. They wouldn't be in sales if they weren't. But what's on the other side of that? Are they getting the rewards? Are they getting the recognition? You know, I did a little chapter on rewarding yourself and others. I used to do that when I was making cold calls. I don't like making cold calls any more than anyone else. So if I make 5 calls, maybe I'll go have a cookie, or I'll take myself to lunch. Or if I get 2 deals this week, I'll go to lunch. Whatever. You know, that's why companies have contests and prizes for salespeople. They know that rewards motivate people. So that's, again, not a hard thing to do. There are companies that have done the Employee of the Month parking space. Amazing results from things like that, because it goes right through the organization. And now everybody wants that parking space. And now everybody's now competing a little bit to be a better employee. And again, we're bringing everyone up. You know, happy, engaged people are happier people. If I'm engaged in what I'm doing, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be happier. My life is going to be better. That's the bottom line. My turf is personal development. I want you to have a better life.
Right.
Just boom.
Now, does your book help a person to handle the one situation you brought up with feeling connected with the company?
Well, yeah, because I'm going to take you through a whole process, and if you go into visioning and goal setting, you can call it strategic planning, call it what you want. But understanding, again, what do I want in my life, and how does this all fit together? Why am I even getting out of bed in the morning? And most people don't take the time to go through this. A better one is that there's a very long chapter in there, the only long chapter in there, it's on values. What's most important to me in my life? What's most important to me in my career? If I don't understand what that is, and I wind up being out of alignment with that, if my value is, one of my values is being home with my family, and I take a road warrior job, I'm never going to be happy.
Right.
No matter what, unless I can convince myself that doing this is making my life better for my family, then I'll be okay with it. I still won't be happy.
But you know, what if you're stuck in a situation where you take this job because it was the only one out there, so you go through your processes to try to make yourself happy and accept it, but it just doesn't seem to work out, but there's no other options out there. You're sort of stuck in that rut, aren't you? Are you ever going to make yourself happy if you've tried everything, you're just not getting there, and you're thinking it's greener on the other side, but there's no pastures on the other side to go to that new job?
Well, that's happening a lot right now. People are looking at other companies and not seeing anything different. So it really, at some point, we have to have a systemic change going on, at least in America. I can't speak for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But you may reach a point where this is, I don't know, I know that I would not personally stay very long. If I'm really that unhappy somewhere, I'm going to find a way out. Just because, again, this is my life.
Right.
There's no one thing in my life is my life, and everything else comes below. It has to be that. There's no way you can do it. So if I absolutely hit a wall and there's nothing I can do to feel any better in this company, whatever it takes, I'm going to go do something else. And that's happening. There's a story came out last week about 40 to 50-year-old executives that are changing careers. They're actually taking less of a salary. In return, the trade-off is more work-life balance. So people are saying no to the big, high-pressure, high-ticket jobs, saying, you know what, I don't need $300 a year to be happy. Give me $100.50 and I'll chill out my life a little bit and everything will be cool. So we're going to start seeing that trend coming on next. The trend people was talking about that last week. Because quality of life is becoming the issue in 2014 and beyond. We're waking up to that.
Yeah, and you know, that's my biggest problem. You know, I'm 47, I'll be 48 this year, and I'm just so work. And I want to sit there and be with my family and hang out and relax, but I just can't get out of that mentality. And sometimes it doesn't make you happy. Sometimes it just kills you, but it's hard to get out of that mentality.
Why is it hard?
For me, it's the hardest thing in the world to do. I don't know why. I can't sit still. If I'm sitting still with my family out there, I start thinking about new ways to make money, new businesses in my head. And I wish I didn't. Unfortunately, that's just something.
Yeah, that's entrepreneur, because I'm the same way. But I can still unplug. So you have the luxury or the privilege of working for yourself or having a small business. That's a little bit different because you're much more heavily invested in it than if you were just working in a job somewhere. You're more committed. you're engaged in what you're doing. You have to be, or it doesn't happen, right?
Right.
So how do you balance that with family time? And that's always, I think everybody in their own business asks that question constantly. And I think it's just a matter of coming back to what's important to me in my life. It's one of the reasons when I do vision exercises with coaching clients, with seminars, with workshops, whatever, one of the things that I do is talk about 7 different areas of your life. I'm not just going to talk about how do I make more money? How do I have a better career? Let's talk about your health. Let's talk about your family relationships. I don't want to see a situation I saw here where I live. A number of years ago, there was a house that went up for auction. It was a multi-million-dollar house, and the guy said that by the time he was had reached the income levels where he could afford to have that house, he had lost the relationship, destroyed the relationship with his family, and he was rattling around the house by himself. And it was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. So he had this beautiful $2 million, $3 million house that had to be sold because it was just him in it. He had destroyed everything he wanted it for. That's where knowing your values, knowing what's important to you, having a plan for your life to some degree. It's not carved in stone, but if I know what my life looks like in its totality, and I do because I'm living the goals that I set 20 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, 5 years ago. It's a continually evolving process, but it keeps tweaking. It's not radical. It's like, okay, what do I want for this coming year? I just had a birthday, so what's my next year? One of my areas is going to be fitness. I did health last year. I'm going to continue the health, of course. But now I'm going to drill down a little more on fitness and get back to that. What do I want in my career? What do I want in my relationships? Where do we want to go on vacations? If you start looking at that and looking at your life, all too often people set goals in financial areas only. That's all everybody seems to be concerned about. It's like, if I have enough money, I'm going to be happy. You know what? That's not true. I can be happy broke. I have been happy flat broke. I lived in a car in California for a few days. I was perfectly content. I was okay. I found a way to be okay with it. Again, it goes back to what am I telling myself about it? Is this the end of my life, or is this just a little bump in the road? That's a big one. I've been in life-altering situations where I had to be able to take control of what am I going to tell myself about this so that I get through it. And this is where the rubber meets the road, because if you go at that wrong, and in those kinds of situations, you can wind up in all kinds of nasty places like mental institutions or worse. I do know people that have killed themselves.
Yeah.
It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, as far as I'm concerned. So you find better ways, and this comes into the workplace. It's all one thing. It's all one life. But we're not taught. What bothers me more than anything, I've been doing this. I work with myself now for 28 years, and been teaching it for 20-something of them, and writing about it for 18. We're not taught this. We're not taught personal development skills at any point in an education. You can go through PhDs, and you don't run into this information. Somewhere in the 4th grade, somebody should start talking to young kids, and they'll take the information in quickly. Start talking about what are some things that would make you feel better. What do you want to do? Where would you like to go? And I'm not talking about putting kids into a career path today. I'm just trying to get them, because kids will be goal-oriented if you give them some processes to do that.
Well, I like everything you're saying, because a lot of what you're saying I already do, and I've always been that way. And I don't know if it's because I started after college, doing sales, and that's how we had to think was you can do this. When I'm sick, when my wife's sick, I'm like, just think you're not sick. Believe you're not sick, and you won't feel sick. And she thinks I'm an idiot. But it goes along the lines of what you're saying, and what you're trying to communicate is just believe it. If you think you're going to be, if you think you're happy, and you're going to sell yourself on it, then you will eventually be there.
Well, that's one of the things I start one of my seminars with that. What are your morning questions? What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Brian Tracy talked about that. Everybody talks about this in personal development. The first things that, most people wake up and they go, oh, I got to get up, I got to go to work, why do I have to do this, why do I have to do that? They haven't even gotten out of bed, they're miserable. They just sabotage the day first 5 minutes. There is some school of thought around that teaches that the first 20 minutes of your morning can set the entire tone for your day.
I believe that.
That's great. I do too, because I practice it. I've been meditating now for 25 or so years, and I spend that hour or so in the morning getting my head screwed on right, because I can very easily go over the edge. I have no problem going into space. I was raised Irish in a dysfunctional house. Come on, it doesn't get any crazier than my house. Okay?
Now,
you find ways. You change how you communicate with yourself. That's what Captain Jerry Coffey said when he was a POW in Vietnam. How did you get through this? Tony Robbins said, how did you come out of this thing? It was an amazing experience. He said, I've mastered communication with myself. This is the big aha. This is where people are dropping the ball. Because they're telling themselves all these things that are making them feel worse. And I'm wondering why they feel worse. Well, stop talking about feeling lousy. You might start to feel better.
And that's
like your wife. Saying I'm sick, I feel, oh my God, I feel, oh wow, if you knew how I felt, oh, that's not improving the situation. I'm not saying live in denial, but there's no reason to amplify the negative. There's no benefit. There's no payback.
And that's so true. I tell you, if I sit there and I focus on the negative, it's just bring me down. But if I focus on something else, more of what I believe to be the positive, it will change your life around and your day around. Now, I bet if people read this book, Happy at Work, they can get a lot of this information, and it costs them a discounted value of what? How much does your book go for?
I don't know. The retail price is $14.99. I'm not sure what it is. $14.95. It's all over different prices.
$14.95, and you can make your life that much better.
Well, and there's something in there about that. I talk about committing to personal development. One of the things that's made the difference in my life, I don't know if you've got a chance to look at my whole bio, from the down and out and the booze and drugs and blah, 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 and the life from the bottom and all this and that. The one thing that has contributed more to the success that I've achieved, and I've achieved a relative amount of it insofar as touching the lives of people all over the world in a big way. All of that is because I committed to reading a little bit every day back around almost 20 years ago, probably more than 20 years ago. I got the idea from, I think, Dr. Dennis Waitley, and I started reading a little personal development. I listened to personal development audios, and it keeps my head screwed on right. That's the whole key to it. I'm impervious to most of the negativity going on around me. It just rolls right off because I'm in a positive place. I could very easily drop back into a negative place. That's why I read every day. It's like somebody said to Zig Ziglar, well, motivation doesn't last. They said, yeah, David is bathing. That's why you do it every day. And it's a simple answer. And I know, being in sales, that you were in meetings where the meeting starts out with, okay, so what's wrong? Sales are down. What's wrong, Francesco?
Yeah.
That's the wrong question to ask. So ask the other side of that. Ask what's right. What's going right? Because again, law of attraction, you can't get to what's working by going to what's not working.
Exactly.
It's a roundabout way. You can get there eventually, I'm sure, but the easier way is to go right to what's going right and then build from there, because you'll attract more of that into your life as you do that.
Well, let me ask you this, Jim. How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in having you do some speaking, some coaching, if they're interested in your Happy at Work? I do have your website on the banner below here, and I will send out your web address when I put this out on all my media outlets.
Great.
What do you have an email? Do you have how can they get in touch with you? Is there a number they can call if they'd like to get you in as a speaker or a coach?
Yeah, they can call 215-794-3826. They can email jim@jimdonovan.com. The website is probably the best place because everything kicks off from there. Jim Donovan Author on Facebook, Jim Donovan on LinkedIn and Twitter, and Jim Jones on YouTube. And I'm all over the place. If you go to jimdonovan.com/happy, you can get a free gift to get on my newsletter list to keep you up on what's going on. I'm easy to find. I'm being easy to find.
Yeah, you are, and I found
it takes a lot of effort to be this easy to find.
All right, so if you want to interview with Jim Donovan, it was an interesting interview. Interesting person with a lot of good information. I'm telling you, a lot of people, they sit around and say, oh, that success stuff, that Tony Robinson, Zig Ziglar stuff, it's crazy. It isn't, folks. When I was in sales some years ago, and I was the top in the state, top in the nation, I used to listen to that stuff daily. I used to reinforce it by telling myself how great I was. Even though I wasn't great, I would tell myself I'm great. And it worked. It was an effective tool to utilize out there. So I believe in a lot of what he was saying. Now we're going to go into Alzheimer's. This is important because I always tell my wife that I think she's got Alzheimer's. She forgets things like crazy. And it's not a joking matter, and there's basically no cure for it. But now they have this thing where Alzheimer's disease could be prevented after a new blood test breakthrough. And this came from the London Telegraph. It says that scientists at Oxford and King's College in London developed blood tests which can predict the onset of Alzheimer's, so that drugs could better target the disease before the symptoms start to appear. The blood test has been developed to predict if someone will develop Alzheimer's within a year, raising hope that the disease will become preventable. Clinical trials will start on people who have not developed Alzheimer's to find out which drugs halt its onset. The blood test could be available as little as 2 years. It was described as a major step through for Alzheimer's. Clinical trials into so-called wonder drugs such as BACE inhibitors and anti-amyloid agents have shown little improvement for sufferers. Scientists believe that this time they've got it right. They're going to be able to diagnose the Alzheimer's. So good things happening out there in that arena. Next, we're going over to, I'm trying to get on some stuff that is not going to take me a long time to go through because I only got about 5 more minutes. This is on, as you probably know, I don't know if I played my road rant yesterday. I put out 2 rants yesterday. One was on the dollar, and the other one was on the Federal Reserve. That it's actually private, and it's not a Federal Reserve, even though they got their own police force and everything. And I did 2 rants. They were my longest rants, I think, like 8 minutes, and they were a little too technical. But this is on the dollar again. And this is basically, this isn't the article, but this is the conversation I heard in regards that got me thinking about the dollar and the de-dollarization trend that's starting to happen out there, because they started saying countries like South Korea are doing this. So basically what they're saying that is that as the Obama administration's continuing to alienate almost everyone else around the entire planet, an increasing number of prominent international voices are starting to question why the dollar should be overwhelmingly so dominant in global trade. As you should know, the dollar, because we're able to print this and we're the reserve, we don't have to pay our debt. We can just print all this money to cover the debt. Once we are no longer the almighty dollar and things aren't pinned to our dollar, our currency isn't the reserve currency out there, guess what happens, folks? We actually have to pay our debt, and then we're going to have to institute austerity. And we all know how much the citizens love austerity, right? It won't be pretty. You got companies now like Gazprom in Russia. They're asking large customers to start paying in currency other than dollars. They don't want the dollars. And that's because this whole Ukraine-Crimea thing. But this is not just a story about Russia any longer, folks. It's going beyond that. China, South Korea, they just signed a major agreement to facilitate trade with one another using their own national currency. And even prominent French officials, I put out a story today where they are not happy with the dominance of the dollar out there. The power of the almighty dollar has allowed all of us in the United States to enjoy extremely, extremely high standard of living for decades. You may not think so, but I've been to third world countries, folks. Even our impoverished, our homeless, have it better than some of the people that are affluent in many of these countries. But as that power now fades, it's going to have a profound implications on our economy. In the future years, the value of the dollar will go down substantially. All the imported goods filling our stores will become more expensive, inflation, and it's going to cost the federal government a lot more to borrow money because they just can't go out and print it. Okay, so it's going to have that domino effect. But you're starting to see that more and more. It's something that we as Americans need to be aware of. I know a lot of times people sit there and say, what do I care about the dollar being devalued? What do I care about inflation? What do I care about the CPI? They don't realize the direct impact that it has on them. Just like, why do I care if Paul Caragiulo is elected county commissioner? Well, how do you know that he's going to do things that are in the best interest of your area? You don't, if you're going to have that attitude. You don't know if Shannon Snyder will be better a candidate, or Coe, or McAllister, or any of these other people that are running for the seat. So it's time that we get out of this dumbed down state of mind we're in, this zombie-like TV watching state of mind. Open our horizons, take control of our future. All right, I have a lot more, but I only have 2 minutes, and then I can't begin to cover any of the stories, so we're going to stop there, and I'll just try to pick up tomorrow. As usual, I ran out of time. Tomorrow, like I said, Paul's coming on, the county commissioner, so we're going to ask him some tough questions, folks. We're going to ask him about Warm Mineral Springs. We're going to ask him about his relationship with Barfield. We're going to ask him about some of his political answers to conversations, and hopefully he's going to give me real solid answers instead of the political dance run, which I'm not a fan of. Paul's a good guy. We'll see what happens with it. It'll be an interesting interview. And that's it. So remember, sponsorships, the Francesco Abbruzzino Show.com. Looking for advertisers. It goes out to basically my website, this show, and my Facebook media pages. My store, visit for apparel. I have it for my alternative news. I have it for the Scoop local news pages and all that good stuff. So check out my website. There's a lot of info. If you're on here live now, you're probably watching via that website. And that's it for Francesco Abbruzzino. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday, folks.